All right, we have a special guest today. Charlize, what is up? Valerie, let me see. All right, Charlize and Valerie. Said I just went live 13 seconds ago, so y'all were already here. So I guess StreamYard and YouTube does this weird thing. Lets y'all be there before I'm actually there, and the text actually stays. But anyway, shout out to y'all too. I am actually waiting on my two guests. So while we do that, let's get that intro because I'm gonna let them take over. You did?
Let's get right into the video.
So it's not, like I said, gonna be like a traditional interview because I personally don't know much about COVID other than what they tell us. That's why I wanted to get an interview with an actual nurse, a board certified nurse, somebody that knows what they're talking about. And yeah, that's what we're gonna do. I don't believe in speaking on things that I don't know about, so we're just waiting. Charlize, can you because I text her, I don't want to mess nothing up. I don't want to leave the show. Can you can you make sure she has the link? Cause I have my phone on do not disturb, so cause I hate when people have their phone constantly ding ding in the background. That's so unprofessional. Okay, all right, cool. Jack Queen, so I'll just talk to y'all real fast. Anybody want to say something to me? Desiree, what's up? Let me know real fast. Talk to me. Are you the I rebuke sample? Huh? So anyway, for the people that's going to rewatch the replay, I'm going to put the time code so that you'll be able to click directly in the description when we get started so you don't have to wait. Are you the I rebuke sample? I don't. Okay. I really don't want to post it publicly. Well, I'll go ahead and post it, but this isn't an open panel. This is just for Victory Praise and her husband, a board certified nurse. And when I say board, I don't mean BORED. Now, when I say here she is, she gonna take over. He gonna take over. It is. Gonna add you to the stream.
I'm gonna go to the computer and do it.
All right, we got. Oh, all right. How are you doing?
Hey, how you doing? Sorry, we're getting everything together.
I will be professional. Let me turn y'all up. I gotta hear it. Yes, very professional. I will be on my Oprah in the 90s today.
Tiffany,
I
all right. And
don't.
Tiff, can you send me in my messenger again, in my text message, the YouTube link, the StreamYard, so I can.
Okay.
I want to put him on the computer, but that's fine.
Okay. All right.
Hey, how you doing?
I can't invite the people in.
Can you see me? You all there?
Ask her to.
All right. Can you hear me? Did I not send it originally?
You did. You sent it to me straight from You sent it straight from You sent it.
Oh, that's right.
But I need it in the link. I need it in your chat so that I can invite his guest.
Okay, well, I just texted in. Let me put it back in the chat.
Yeah, put the StreamYard link into the chat so that I can send that to everybody as well.
All right, there we go. We're going to do that. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. And let's get started. Can you tell me a little bit about who you are and what you do for a profession?
Yeah, my name is Vic Williams. Yeah, I'm a registered nurse, RN, BSN. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I hear great things about you all the time, so I'm so happy that you are here. Now, I I've been told that you want to tell us a little bit more about what we don't get to hear about COVID-19. I don't know where you want to start, but I just want you to talk. And when I have to interject, I just want you to have the floor. All
Okay.
right? The floor is yours.
Okay. So I guess we can start from the beginning. When you look at this whole COVID thing, uh, I guess you would call it the SARS COVID-2. I think a lot of people get confused with that. The SARS part that stands for sudden acute respiratory syndrome, and basically that's just saying like the process of what happens uh, in pneumonia, if you want to call it that, when you have a viral infection of your lung tissue. What happens in any other cell when a virus or foreign invader hits the cell, then you have an immune response. And the most common immune response is called the inflammatory response. And basically, what happens when a cell or area of the body becomes inflamed, it's kind of like the highway or the interstate, if you want to say it like that, of your veins and vessels and so forth. They open up to allow white blood cells and all the other platelets and things of that nature to come and to respond to the invading microbes. And so the bad part about that in your lung tissue is when you have that inflow or influx of cells, you also have an influx of fluid because blood and serum blood blood is the vehicle by which everything travels in your body. So when you have that influx of fluids into your lung tissue, then you basically you begin to suffocate, and that is the problem with pneumonia. Again, you have the pneumococcus bacteria, uh, which is different from the whole COVID spectrum thing, but yeah, you got that bacteria, and then to fight it, like I said, you want to have an immune response. And so basically, that's what you're having with COVID. Um, yeah, you got the foreign invader. It comes into your lungs, and yeah, and then you get all that fluid in there, and that's why when we treat it, we're given supplemental oxygen, and I don't know if anybody's familiar with it. Maybe you probably aren't, but yeah, you use high flow oxygen. I'm not gonna get into the term, but yeah, we're just using a whole bunch of oxygen to try to supplement for what your body it can't do because of the illness. And I kind of got off track, but yeah, like I was saying, so you got the sudden acute uh, respiratory syndrome, and then so that's the SARS, and then you have the COV2. COV is talking about COVID, uh, and this is like yeah, and the reason why you got the COV2, that's like the second form of the COVID virus that we saw in 2003. So is everybody with me?
Yeah, we're with you. We're with you.
Okay, so yeah, so you got the SARS COVID part, and then yeah, and then you might also hear it called COVID-19, and basically COVID, of course, stands for COVID disease. The shortened form of, COVID, coronavirus disease. And it was first discovered in 2019, thus, COVID-19. And and you also may have heard it called the novel coronavirus, which meaning the new coronavirus, because as it's been said, uh, the common cold and a lot of flus are caused by a coronavirus. So our bodies pretty much had time to build up and create antibodies and a defense against that. So it was like, that's the old coronavirus. This novel means new. So now that we have a novel coronavirus, our bodies has not had times to build up antibodies and resistance to it, and that's why we're in such a bad situation right now, because people are getting infected by it. But like I said, we don't really have any uh, formalized therapies to treat it, and yeah, and our bodies aren't used to it. It's kind of like when you, as a child, if you get chicken pox or measles, your body has not had any antibodies to that. So that's why every child gets it, because there's no defense in your body for it. But then afterwards, you get chicken pox. Yes, if you can see, I still got a little scar right here from my chicken pox. Um, then yeah, your
We
body.
have a question for you
Okay,
from Desiree. I heard that there are 4,000 strands. What does that mean?
4,000 strands of coronavirus. So um, it's just like how can I say? So I'm gonna just go back again to the basic definition of like what a mutation is. So you got, if you just say you have an original virus of, uh, you know, that is okay. You have an original virus that is made up of, just say, the molecules of ABC. It's coded ABC, and but then over time, as it replicates, uh, that ABC makeup of the virus may change into like A AC ACB. So whereas your body was able to understand and fight itself against, the ABC order makeup of the virus, now it's different in that, like I said, is like I said, ADC or something like that. And so basically what I'm saying is as the molecule or as the virus replicates, there's uh, yeah, it there's different versions of it. Like the human DNA is pretty solid. It's very complicated, but in that it's very complicated, it's very solid. So meaning that you don't see people with three arms and two legs, but you pretty much see everybody with two arms and two legs. That's because our genetic code uh, codes for that particular makeup. Now, like when you have a virus, it's very simple. It's very small and it's very simple. So over the time, as it replicates, that that genetic code can get off and it can change. And the problem with that with us in our bodies, when it changes, as I said, we may not have different antibodies, uh, to that particular change. So again, since the virus is very small, very tiny, very simple, as it replicates over years and years and thousands of years, or even within this year, um, the coronavirus, then there's different mutations, or as she was saying, different strains of it. And there may be 4,000 strains, but of those 4,000 strains, uh, the only the only ones that may still be virulent, or that may be able to affect us and cause illness in us, there may be only a few, because yeah, you know we're not really necessarily dealing with 4,000 strains that we're trying to uh, treat or cure. But like I said, there's only a few that are actually causing disease.
Okay. Now we have a question from Miss Trina. What do you think about the shot that they are giving out, and would you take it or would you recommend the COVID-19 shot? What is your overall take on that?
Well, yeah. Number one, yeah, I have taken. um, I have taken it. It's a step. It's a two-step process. Um, it's kind of like, you get the first shot, and then we had to wait a month, and then you got the second shot. Now, how they say, if you've ever had COVID before, which some of my nurses, co-workers, they have had it before. They say the first shot, you will get like flu-like symptoms, meaning muscle aches, maybe a little fever, maybe a little nausea, which you can take Tylenol for the muscle aches and the headaches and all that stuff. Um, you get nauseated, maybe take a little Zofran or something like that, replenish your fluids. And then for the second shot, um, if you've never had COVID, which I have never, then I had like the muscle aches and stuff, and I just basically took some Tylenol for that. So yeah, so I totally advocate for the uh, for the vaccine, because, as again, I've treated these patients. Most of the patients that I've treated, these are your grandparents. These are in the elderly population. So when I kind of look at them, yeah, I may see my granddad, my grandma, my older auntie and stuff like that, and
And
All right, I was trying to see who else. I thought that was your wife trying to join us, but then we got a terrible feedback. I don't know if you're still there with us. Are you still there with us? Okay, they'll be back. So we'll read this comment while we're waiting. Corona been around for a while. The media sensationalized Corona for political reasons. They needed to get Trump out. Uh-oh. 0 to 1,000. Although I personally agree, I have to act neutral while I'm in my journalism mode, but I definitely would agree. Do y'all homework on the shot. I'm not taking it. Read on the CDC. All right, let's add Vic back. All right.
am
Vic,
I
are
back?
you with us?
Yeah,
Yeah, I had a request. I don't know if you were trying to switch or if that was your wife trying to join.
yeah. We switched from the phone to the computer. Yeah, we switched from the phone to the computer.
Oh, okay. Got it,
Can
got it,
you hear me
got it.
now?
All right. So, I can hear you great. So what I want you to get into is what Victory Praise Your Wife was basically saying, that you wanted to tell us more about our people and how it's affecting us and how we should take it more seriously.
Yeah, like I was saying, yeah, it's affecting the more so the geriatric population. When I was treating patients, that's more so what we saw. We didn't see a lot of kids. Of course, yeah, I don't really treat too many kids. And we didn't see I saw a few middle-aged people, but it was more so the geriatric population. And it's just it was just really disheartening and really troubling, seeing elderly people who should otherwise have not, in my opinion, should not be suffering from this if our response had been better. But here they are in the hospital, literally, gasping for air, having to take a high dose oxygen, just so we can, keep them alive, and or just so they can, get moderate levels of oxygenation. And so, yeah, that's why I totally advocate for it. Because as a middle-aged person, as a young person, you may not get it. You may just be positive for it. You may be asymptomatic, saying that, you don't get the whole oxygen deprivation. You don't have to be hospitalized, but then you may transfer it to an older member of your family. My mother, she's in her 80s, so the perfect storm between me being the young person and her being the older person that I can transmit it to, and for that arrangement, how me and my mother are. There's many other people in the same boat. So you might not get it, but then you can transfer it to other people who can get it. And now here they are, in the hospital, as I said, gasping for air. We have what you call a high flow nasal cannula. Everybody's seen the little nasal cannulas, those little plastic things, they put in your nose and they wrap around your ears and all that. And then you have it's called a high flow nasal cannula. The tubes are much more wider, so you can get more oxygen into your system quicker. And then we have what you call a non-rebreather. Basically, uh, yeah, it just that's like a step above the nasal cannula. It's more like a mask, and it's non-rebreather, meaning basically none of the oxygen escapes. You're getting everything that you can, because at that point you need every bit of oxygen that you can, because yeah, your lungs aren't working the way they should. And that's why I said I just really advocate for getting the vaccine, because if you can get the vaccine, then now you're turning down the probability and the possibility that you'll spread it to other people. And um, and then yeah, at some point we can kind of get a hold on the infection rate. The hospitals won't be flooded with patients, and or overrun by patients. And yeah, like I said, we can get a hold on it, because, as I said, I've treated persons who they weren't so much influenced on a respiratory rate, but then I know you all have heard that the coronavirus causes blood clots. And so here, this guy, he was okay on the oxygen end, but then he had to have his both feet amputated because of blood clots caused by the coronavirus. And then also you have the situation, whereas um, um, you might make it through the coronavirus, or make it through the illness, but then you may have lung scarring. So now you're faced with a situation to whereas maybe years after, you're still dealing with uh, a situation that would be kind of equivalent to like bronchitis or emphysema or asthma, because your lungs have been damaged during the whole the whole during the she got a little feedback there, during the whole process of coronavirus. Or then also you may deal with long-term blood clotting issues. um, Anybody who knows, well, I won't use that example, but well, yeah, maybe I will. So, so like blood clots, that can affect your eyes. The small veins in your eyes, small blood vessels in your eyes. So now you can have, maybe, you know, problem with your eyes, and or just or what you call pulmonary embolisms. The blood clots can get into your lungs. So like I said, you got this whole cascade of events that can happen from coronavirus. So if there is any means possible, we should try to stop it. So
There's a right thing.
Any other question?
There's a right thing it's man-made. Can you talk about that?
Okay. So I'm hearing that someone is saying, and I know that's a concern, that that the virus is man-made. Again, I'm gonna go to the science, and then I may put a little my own reasoning in there. You want to close that? Okay. I want to close that back. Okay. So the way a virus works is that, again, it's just a simple piece of machinery, and then over the time, as it replicates, over years, um, then it can change, because it's such a simple piece of organic machinery. And like I said, I contrasted that to the thing of the human DNA. It's very complicated. It's very secure. I mean, except within certain genetic diseases, do you see like Down syndrome. People are born with or certain deformities and things of that nature. But that is a rarity, because most of the population does not have Down syndrome. There, it is a minority portion that has Down syndrome, and things of that nature. And so again, like I said, a virus is very simplistic, so the whole replication process can get off. And then also the thing what you want to realize about mutation is that once a virus gets into your body, then it will pose a defense against it. But then as it's killing the virus, then the virus is also still replicating. And so what you'll have is you'll have uh, maybe a majority of the virus destroyed in your body, but then there's still portions or portions of like of a virus that did escape from the attack, and those are like your stronger mutations. Um, I don't know if I'm being clear about that, but then so as those stronger portions survive, those are your more your stronger strands in your body. And then now your body has uh, a difficulty destroying this new strand. So basically what I'm saying is that just to keep it simple, like I said, over time, a virus can mutate. And you know I really can't, I really don't know how to refute as far as saying that it's man-made, except for research has shown that is not is not a man-made situation. There have been viruses in the past. Was that like the swine flu? The swine flu, that was originally a flu that was just relegated to pigs, but then again over time, as the virus mutated, um, it became able to cross from animal pig into the human genome, or and and then then we had swine flu. And then you believe you have what you call avian flu. We had that avian talks about birds, and it was just relegated to birds. But then again, over time, it was able to adapt itself and to come into the human population. You'll find that over, if you look through the literature, you can probably do a Google search. I think it's called zoolific or something like that. Zoo talking about animal, but basically you just Google like um, viral transfers from animals to humans, or infections from animals to human. You'll see a lot of examples of that has happened over history. And that's just something that happens in biology. We're all essentially made from the same stuff, proteins, lipids, phospholipids, DNA, RNA. So since we're all, viruses, bacteria, of course, we're much more complicated than a virus or a bacteria, but the same, they use the same stuff, DNA and or RNA. And so since you got the same stuff, then
Yeah.
there's going to be some some crossover. I'm kind of thinking in my mind, if there were robots like the Terminator, we couldn't get anything from them because we're not made like them. But since we're made essentially from the same stuff, then yeah, stuff can cross over. So I hope I kind of answered that. But yeah, it's not man-made. One thing that I was thinking about, like cancer, the treatment for cancer. We use chemotherapy. I always tell people that might not be the best in light of all of the side effects, the nausea, the hair loss, the fact that when you get chemotherapy, you're targeting cancer cells. It kills the cancer cells, but then it also kills living healthy cells. And then in that respect, all those side effects, it's not the best, but it's the best that we have. And kind of comparing that to is this thing man-made? I guess what I'm trying to say is that yeah, well, maybe that example is a little different. It's for something else, but again, like I said, I don't believe that it's man-made. It's just a virus that like smallpox, like Ebola, like West Nile virus. We live in a world of viruses and bacteria. So you're gonna get infected by something over the course of your lifetime. That's why I was really disappointed in the way this previous administration handled this whole pandemic, because I had hoped that this would be a learning tool, a time for us to really gear ourselves up, because as they said, this is not the first. Because like I said, you can look back to the Spanish flu, was that 1800s or whatever they're talking about, the pandemic, that ripped the world. That's happened. As I said, you saw SARS, you saw MERS, you saw Ebola. As I said, you've seen smallpox. All these different things have affected the human population over time. It's not those, just like those happen going forward, into the millennium, the 2020s and 2030s, you're going to see it again. And so, yeah, that's why I say again, it's not man-made. It's just nature. And what we need to do is, we need to, use our best science. We need to use our best, thinking and best behavior, not, again, as our former administration did, act like it. Oh, this isn't real. Even though the president of the United States, who said it wasn't real, he caught it. And from what we're hearing, it may have been a little bit more severe than he led on to be. So moving on.
There's a question.
So okay, so I see. What is the difference between an ECMO versus a ventilator? So a ventilator, basically, yeah, that's kind of like the last therapy of when you're in respiratory distress. As I said, you would probably start with just the little nasal cannulas. You would move on to a non-rebreather. There's a couple of other steps in there, but then a ventilator. They're taking the tube, they're putting it down your throat, into your windpipe directly, because your windpipe is a one long singular tube, and then until it gets down into like the middle of your chest, and then it branches off into your left, into your right lung. So you're basically sticking that tube right into that, kind of bifurcation, as we call it. And then now the ventilator is breathing for you, because your lungs are no longer at the state where they can breathe for breathe for themselves. And so all breathing is basically oxygen exchange. It's putting in oxygen, taking out CO2. That's what our lungs do, all day, every day. And so now, with the pressure of the ventilator pushing in, it's able to push in oxygen and, pull out the CO2. And so that's basically what a ventilator is. And that is the last ditch effort of medical technology to help you breathe. If you're not breathing on a ventilator, then you know it's pretty much you know you're going you'll die. I was trying to say the more good method. Okay. And so yeah, that's the last because if if you've ever dealt with end of life issues, yeah, the loved one is on the patient is on a ventilator, and and that's why you get to that situation of, are we going to take them off of the ventilator or not? My father, he was in that exact same situation. He had a massive stroke, and yeah, pretty much knocked out, most of his, uh, normal functions, which was his respiratory. And yeah, we were left with the decision of whether we're going to leave him on the ventilator or not. And at that point, due to damage that had already been done, yeah, we took him off. So anyway, and then getting into the ECMO machine, the ECMO, it basically acts in place of your kidneys. Um, One situation that you have, like in a heart attack, now blood is not pumping or perfusing through your body in a way that's going to sustain. Well, it's not perfusing through your body in a maximum way, and that's one thing that your kidneys need. They need blood constantly pushing through them, constantly going through there, bringing oxygen. And that's why one of the things you have to watch for, or yeah, that we watch for in a heart attack, is since the blood is not, pumping good enough because the heart is not working at 100%, you may have kidney failure. So in this situation with the ECMO, it's basically acting in place of your kidneys. It's pumping the blood out, and it's purifying, taking all the impurities out, and then putting the fresh blood in. It also has like a oxygen diffuser, and it is pushing oxygen in, and so that with the ventilator, those two will work hand in hand. When the illness has affected your lungs and or your kidneys, uh, to bring oxygen rich, oxygen fresh, and taking out all the impurities. Yeah, and my wife is just noting that a lot of hospitals don't have ECMO services. That's what's happening right now. Yeah, and I'm thinking that yeah, most of your level one trauma centers, like a Vanderbilt University Medical Center, we're here in Nashville, or like an Emory, those level one trauma centers, more like your bigger hospitals. And so, yeah, and so, blacks and among others, who are seriously affected by uh, coronavirus. Yeah, the ECMO machine is helping a lot of people. Who's the next question? Okay. Okay, I see a question. When will you know if the vaccine worked? Um, I would say we should start seeing like good data coming through, but then I don't know, at least by June, I would say, because yeah, the vaccine campaign really got underway in January, I believe, And so now you'll probably see infection rates decrease. You'll probably see less of the elderly getting it because, again, the young people have been vaccinated, the community has been vaccinated. So now the infection rates will be down. So now your geriatric people who are mostly the most vulnerable to it, those rates are going to go down. And again, that's what do you call, that's the money in the bank for me, because now you're not seeing, like I said, grandpa, grandma, auntie, and all that in the hospital, suffering from coronavirus. Something, as I said, I feel we have the medical technology to prevent, but again, here in America, you're supposed to be, first rate in this, first rate in that. But now, again, in my hospital, the hospitals were originally made single room hospitals, but because the numbers were getting so bad, we were having to double up in single rooms. They weren't made to do that, but because I said, because the numbers got so high, so now we're dealing with double occupancy rooms. And yeah, I was never on a COVID floor, but we turned into an overflow floor, and you saw that in hospitals all across the country. And so yeah, I would say, yeah, the more we get people vaccinated, and as I said, the infection rates should go down, and you won't see the scenarios that I'm talking about. And then the thing about it is, when we talk about numbers and overflow floors and infection rates, at the base behind all of those numbers and terms, those are people. Again, that is grandma, that is grandpa, that's aunt, that's auntie, that's uncle. Those are the people that we love. And so, yes, we really want to, do anything and everything that is possible so we can get the infection rates down uh, and get this thing under control. Because I will say, if we continue to do nothing, then yeah, we're going to continue to see the same old results. But at least if we do something, getting the vaccines, wearing the mask, as has been said, using scientific principles to fight this, then yeah, we're going we're going to at least be seeing some sort of progress. It's going to take a transition period. I would say 2021 is going to be a year of transition. That's not to say people are going to get the vaccine and then things are just going to magically flip over and everything's going to be well. But as you know, the whole year of 2020 was spent disregarding or playing like the thing never existed. So in a sense, we're a year behind, and the virus spread and infection is a year ahead of us. So it's going to take some time, but as I said, hopefully by June you should start seeing some progress, because we started with the frontline workers, the nurses and the doctors, and then yeah, also we started with the nursing home population, nursing home staff, and then I'm not quite sure of the whole order, but yeah, then yeah, they're gonna start doing I believe like more immunocompromised people, whose white blood cell system, their immune system has been compromised, go to them, then yeah, go to the, elderly, and the middle age, and so on and so forth. So do we have any other? I see a comment. It says, "Wouldn't it be wonderful if the government spent just as much money targeting Blacks for financial literacy?" Yes, it would. Yeah. Um, yeah, like I said, yeah, we're living in a interesting time. The fact that I can sit here and talk to many of people it is, the fact that you can pretty much look up anything on the internet and learn it. You have all these classes and, not just virtual, but, you can go get a degree in this and a degree in that. There are financial aids, grants, and loans, things of that nature. And one thing that I learned about as far as increasing your education, you may not always be able to get a full-fledged 4-year degree, but maybe you can get certifications. Maybe you can just get trainings. A lot of things about education is a stepping stone. Uh, you learn a little bit here, you go from that one, that certification, go from that class, and you just keep on going up the ladder. And you might not have need of a degree, um, because I'm just thinking about a lot of dealing with the investments and the cryptocurrency. A lot of people are just going online and just learning a little bit here, a little bit there, and it these days, again, because of the way the internet runs, especially dealing with cryptocurrency and things of that nature. Yeah, you just all you have is a little bit of money to start out, and it can grow into a lot. And so yeah, I'll just kind of comment on that comment that has been made. So do we have any more?
She said they can't see you.
Okay. Any other? Yeah, I can see. Yes, we're getting our little home COVID studio together.
She wanted to explain why the Ecmo is better in the end when y'all have tried something. I'm waiting on Tiffany.
So and then yeah, I just wanted to talk about also as far is if you got COVID, if you had to be hospitalized, one of the things that we did, or like the go-to treatments were remdesivir and dexamethasone. Dexamethasone is a steroid, and one of the principal functions of a steroid is anti-inflammation. And remember, I told you whenever you get a respiratory illness, something that affects your lungs, that the process that basically kills you will be the inflammatory process. Basically, you're getting too much fluid into your lungs, and yeah, you're basically not able to compensate for that. And so, fluid in your lungs is, yes, that's basically suffocation. And so, that's why, again, when you have a pneumonia patient, one of the key therapies is, oxygen supplementation, and then back antibiotic therapy. You want to kill out the bacteria, uh, uh, and then you're getting the oxygen to help you breathe as the antibiotic works. So like I said, so dexamethasone is a steroid, and it kind of slows down that inflammatory process. We need our bodies to react with inflammation, but then what essentially happens is kind of like a inflammatory process on steroids, no pun intended. Kind of like a hyper inflammatory process. whenever you get a lung infection. And then you have remdesivir, that's an antiviral, not an antibiotic. And that's one thing that everybody needs to keep in mind when you're dealing with a viral infection versus a bacterial infection, like a pneumococcal, that's like pneumonia. That's a bacteria versus a virus, which is COVID. You can't use penicillin because penicillin is an antibiotic. It kills bacteria. It doesn't kill a virus. Uh, so remdesivir, it basically stops the replication of the virus in the body. So the infection rate can kind of be slowed down, give your body a chance to do its thing, fight the disease, and give the medicine a chance to work. So yeah, we use dexamethasone, remdesivir, and then in some cases we also use it's called monoclonal antibodies, or just say antibodies. Is basically like man-made or synthesized antibodies. Antibodies are basically markers that help your body distinguish between the foreign body, the virus or the bacteria, and itself. Is basically kind of like tagging the bacteria or tagging the virus, basically saying, hey, that's it, get it, attack it. And so yeah, so using monoclonal antibodies to kind of help the body's inflammatory response.
D Nice said, thank you, Vic, for this information here. As I read through the comments, hello everybody. I am Vic's wife. I am a moderator with Tiffany. You have to forgive us for the interruptions. If you are on live stream on your phone and your phone rings, then it knocks the person off of live stream, and that's what we had happening. I saw someone in the chat that mentioned about basically the education of Blacks and the government. We won't get into reparations. Y'all can talk about that a little later. I'm not an attorney, but I definitely do work in the law field a lot with advocating for our Black men who have been wrongly convicted. One of the things with COVID right now is the education getting to our systems in the prison. A lot of our jail men and women do not have enough information on this. I do have someone on the live that is not actually here where you all can see them visibly, but they are tuned in from a particular prison, because there are our prisoners. We forget about those that are in institutions that they're not giving them the knowledge on COVID. And that's why so many of our people in prison actually was infected with COVID, let alone AIDS, and other things that go on. And so what you hear Vic with his professionalism, he's been in the medical field for over 10 years. And I always mess with him. He tries to stay humble, and I appreciate that. He's beyond a BSN RN, and I'll just put it that way. And we need to support more of our Black nurses and doctors, and even our medical assistants, our LPNs, their nurses, in this fight. Because one thing as a wife that affected me a lot was my husband was working 4 and 5 days straight. They don't really get a lunch period, as you can say. He's on the transplant floor. So when they brought him and they changed their floor to COVID, that was definitely a lot for me as a wife. I had to stay in prayer every day, and I don't have a spleen. And I also have some other I have gastroparesis, that's paralyzation of the stomach. So I'm still waiting on my vaccine, even though they said pre-existing condition persons would be next after the medical and after the senior citizens. But I am yet still waiting, and I'm told it probably wouldn't be to probably May or June in Tennessee for those of us waiting for the vaccination. The reason that I have decided to take the vaccination is because I take 5 vaccinations a year. Okay. I don't know if a lot of people understand that the flu, the pneumonia, I take the pneumonia every 5 years. I also take for meningitis. I take several vaccinations per year. You can live without the spleen, but your body does not have the power to eliminate a virus. And what happens with the spleen when you don't have it, yours goes bacteria. So then it goes sepsis, where they say, oh, this person was septic. Is that the right way, sepsis made? Yes. And so, it goes straight into my bloodstream. And I'm not cursing death or saying anything like that. But the reality is that, yes, I could die if that bacteria. I have had a cold now for the last 4 weeks. I've been tested twice for COVID, and it is not COVID. At the same time, if anyone around me has a cold, it affects me differently. And so for myself, I've done like everyone in this chat that said, I'm kind of skeptical. I just don't know about this. And let me tell you that some of the vaccinations that I take are worse than the COVID vaccination. Okay. Any vaccination with me, I lost my spleen in 2007. So a lot of those vaccinations that I'm taking are just the same way. They actually are no different. I think what's scaring a lot of people, and let's talk about it just a little bit. When we think about the 40-year study that was done on blacks with syphilis, those black men, many in Black America are afraid that this is an experiment. But I can say, my husband, he was blessed to where he really did not get the COVID, and he did not get a reaction, from the vaccination. He's had it for a minute now. And for me, I joke with folk. I'm like, I don't even want y'all to FaceTime me because I ain't trying to catch it. Now I'm just joking. But, you got to have a little laughter and stuff in this, right? And so for me, yeah, I don't have anybody in my house. My mama came, we'll go outside. No, ma'am, no, ma'am. And so people are like, well, you go to the restaurant. The problem is, and what has happened to me, is the mere fact that people are being irresponsible. The reason that Tiffany asked me to take over here is because I wanted to tell you, I have a little cousin that's 21 years old. She is still in the hospital. She caught COVID. She was infected with COVID December 1st. She's been in there since. Baby girl, because she's my first cousin's daughter, and so she calls me niece, so I'll say niece, auntie, and she's my niece. And so she got COVID, y'all, and she had a party. It was 10. It wasn't even 10 people. Okay, they did have their mask on, but there was a time that they began to eat, and everybody took the mask off. That's all we know. And so, long story short, with that, she went from talking to everybody on the phone at the hospital to a ventilator. We are now February, and my baby girl, my cousin's daughter, is still in.
Oh
Oh
wow.
wow.
Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Tiffany, you mute tell me. Nobody heard me talking. Can
Can
y'all
y'all
hear
hear
Tiffany?
Tiffany
Tiffany is
is
muted
muted
too.
too?
Can you
Can you
unmute
unmute
Tiff?
Tiff?
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Why you
Why
don't
you
tell me nobody can hear you? I
I
can.
can.
All right.
All
So
right.
sorry
So
about
sorry
that.
about that.
You can mute
You
back,
can mute
Big
back
and
to Big
Tiff,
Tiff.
Okay.
because that's
Because
why it's
that's why
echoing.
it's echoing.
Mute.
Mute.
No, mute.
No, mute.
Yeah, we'll help everybody
Yeah.
out here.
We'll help everybody out here. All right.
So what I was
So
saying
what I was
was,
saying was,
when everybody
when
asked about
everybody
the
asked about
ECMO,
the ECMO,
I have a little
I have a
cousin
look
that's
up.
21. She caught COVID, and she caught it December 1st. Okay, so it's not that her mom and everybody did not wear their mask. They don't know how she got it. So what do we say? Asymptomatic. So she went from being in the hospital, calling all of us and talking, and thought she was going to be okay, to a ventilator within hours. She is still in the hospital today. The ECMO machine saved her life. What I had talked to Tiffany about in her last live was about how the ECMO machine is helping African Americans. Can you mute it, honey? That'll probably help. Try to turn the sound down. That way you won't have the echo. And so with the actual ECMO machine, that is something that our Black America doesn't know anything about. You don't know about it because they haven't told you about it. A lot of places that a lot of hospitals, as my husband was talking about, the trauma centers, they do know about it. Every hospital is not trained on it. And one of the things I've told a lot of people is that if your family member is getting to a point where they have the COVID, they cannot breathe, and they're speaking of the ventilator, you need to ask them, do you have the ECMO machine? Now, my cousin recently was weaned off of the ventilator and the ECMO machine. She does still have a trachea for oxygen. She has a long row. She's 22. She was 21, excuse me. She goes to college with my daughter. She was in the nursing program. One of the things I saw in the comments was about the government and the lack of education. I definitely agree with that. One of the things that we have going on right now is our actual, I would say, the men that are in prison. I do have someone on the line. You really can't see him, but someone that's within that system is actually on the line, because he asked me to tell America, listen, if you have loved ones that are in prison, they're not getting the education on the ventilator. They're not getting the education on ECMO. They don't even know how to really prevent COVID in the prison system. They don't have masks. They're shortage in masks. So I admonish any of you that if you have loved ones or a prison that's in your state, go send some masks, because it's unfortunate that our prior administration ignored the request of our prisoners. That's why a lot of them are out of the prison, because they couldn't take care of them. They were not getting the funding, just the same way with them rushing the students back and the teachers back. And the teachers are on strike because they've had several teachers that they've known that they have been in the colleagues a long time that actually, in a nutshell, died from the COVID. So I try to, when I get an opportunity to speak to Black America, one thing I say is, let's stop tearing each other down and let's start lifting one another up. This is the reason why Tiffany this is a follow-up. You'll have to go and watch the other live that she has, where we go a little bit more in depth about my little cousin's journey. But she has a long way to go. And I thank God that someone told my cousin, take her to this hospital. This hospital has ECMO. And so because they did that with the ECMO machine, that has saved her life. Her probably this entire year, she has to learn to walk again, and she's 21. So when they tell us that, oh, it's only pre-existing condition, no, she's 21, very youthful. And so for myself, I don't have a spleen, so I get 5 vaccinations a year. And the same thing for those of you that are worried about I think it's a lot of the misconception. That's why my husband wanted to come on today, the misinformation about the vaccination. Trust me, some of the vaccinations that I have, when you can live without your spleen, the problem with me is that I don't get a virus. It goes straight bacteria, because I no longer have the red and white blood cells to work together for my good to actually prevent. I've had a cold now for the last 3 weeks. I've been tested twice and do not have the COVID. I've done the rapid, I've done the regular send off, and I don't have COVID, but I'm used to this. And some of the vaccinations that are required, besides the pneumonias every 5 years, the flu is every year, we have to get there's so many, there's a lot of them, some that prevent the meningitis, and some of those, y'all, are stronger than this vaccination that we have right now. So I'm encouraging you. I know what people have said, but I pray and hope that you learn something, and I pray and hope that you don't listen to people that are not in the medical field. My spouse is very humble. Yes, he is a BSN RN, but he is past that. He's been promoted several times, And you can go very high. And, you know, people hear nurse and think, oh, nurse. No, they're really the ones that support the doctors. His brother's a doctor. His younger brother is an MD in Florida. He has a niece that's a doctor. I have cousins that are doctors, but they will tell you that they survive on the lifeline of the nurses. The nurses do the work. And we need more male nurses because there's some men that say, hey, I don't want the woman in here taking care of me. You know, some of those older men. So we need men nurses. But my whole issue, though, is that today he offered his time and attention for Tiffany to do a follow-up because many had a question about it. And I will say that the only treatments, you know, that helped my cousin, my little cousin, 21, was from the ventilator. She was on the ventilator, the Ecmo. She had a trachea. You know, her oxygen levels. You know, that is what the Ecmo machine did to help her kidneys, but it also provided oxygen. Yep. And so he's going to interrupt in here in a second. Go ahead, babe.
Muted.
Okay, am I unmuted?
Okay, you're good. Can you hear me?
Okay, you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I just want to add about the ECMO. Now the ECMO, that's like an extenuating, you know, therapy. Meaning that yeah, our cousin, yeah, she was really sick, and you know, she needed that, you know, additional treatment beyond the ventilator, because as I said, it does filter your blood of you know, the CO2, helps you get the oxygen in. Because as I said, you know, the respiratory process is, you know, primarily takes place in your lungs. You breathe in oxygen, you exhale CO2, but then also at a cellular level, you know, the oxygen that you breathe in is, you know, it goes into your blood, carries it to the cells, and then the cells exchange, and you know, and in turn exchange the CO2. And so, yeah, that's what the ECMO does at you know, at that more blood level. The ventilator helps the, you know, the air level in the lungs, and then the ECMO. But again, like I said, to help, and I think that's what we're trying to get at, to help you not to
Fear.
get at that point, or to keep you clear from COVID altogether. You know, we can, and I think everybody's pretty much agreed upon that, as far as, you know, wearing your mask, you know, washing your hands, you know, just those basic things. Just basically not taking COVID as a joke. You know, this, you know, it's not, you know, it's not imaginary. And I know, you know, there's a lot of maybe fear or mistrust to say that, you know, it is man-made, or it's a conspiracy. Whether it's any of those things, it still exists, and therefore you still have to be aware of it, and and you know, defend yourself from it. And I think when I was talking about earlier, I kind of brought in that random uh, uh, chemotherapy example that I was talking about. What I was trying to get at is that several of our loved ones may have had cancer in the past, and you know, chemotherapy seems kind of way out. Oh wow, you're using basically radiation to you know, to promote survival. As we know, radiation is, you know, terribly you know, poisonous and detrimental to cells. However, used in a controlled and method, it can kill out the cancerous cells. And you know, as the cancerous cells, you know, die out, as you know, like I said, you do kill live cells, but then you recover. And that's, you know, that's the same, you know, the same scientific theory we're using with this whole COVID. You know, you're going to have to, you know, use some kind of scientific, some type of medicine. It seems, you know, far out, this whole COVID thing, and, you know, now we got a vaccine, but, you know, we've been having vaccines for different for different things. Yeah, you have, most of us, we get, a measles, mumps, rubella vaccine. I have to have that. All health workers have to have that to work in the hospital. You can't come in there without that. But like I said, the only thing that has really, in my opinion, that has thrown this whole situation off is that you had, the president of the United States with, as I say, the largest megaphone, the podium of the president. People take what the president says very seriously. As I say, the presidency is not necessarily a man, but it's an institution. So we respect, we revere, and we listen to what's coming over that podium. Unfortunately, in this particular situation, that podium was abused, and now instead of helping to save lives and direct people toward the best ways and the best manners of acting, he used it to lead people down the wrong path. Not gonna get into all that, and because like I said, in addition to drinking bleach, that's a perfect example. But in addition to the medical virus that we're dealing with, we're also dealing with an intellectual virus. Because now people, even in the face of a pandemic, people don't want to submit and get medical attention. That's just like, if you have a fire, but nobody wants to put water to get it out. And that's what COVID is. We have a disease, but nobody wants to go to basic medical things to get it taken care of. And as I said, we can't continue to do this. If we do nothing, then we're going to get the same results. You're going to see, like I said, the overflooding of the hospitals, people getting ill, people dying needlessly, who otherwise shouldn't. But at least if we do something, as I said, then we can start getting, turning this thing around. And as I said, just as you can believe that, as I said, chemotherapy, radiation, those type of things that will, vaccines and things of that nature can work on COVID.
That's the last question. Just say last question.
Okay. Last question says, is it safe to be in a large crowd with a mask? One of the things, if you don't have to be in a massive crowd or a very large crowd, then you can control that. That's by choice. But if you do have to be in, around a lot of people, then you should wear your mask. One of the things that I was faced with in the hospital is when we first, the first week when we went to start treating these patients, I was just kind of naturally a little nervous about going in there. So I had on my N95 mask, and then the infectious disease people in the hospital, they basically stopped a bunch of us because a lot of us weren't, we were going to go maximum overdrive, but they were like, you don't need an N95 mask. An N95 mask deals with what you call an airborne disease. That means the particles of the disease are so small that they just basically float in the air. This is what you call what's it called? A droplet. Yeah, a droplet. You have to take droplet precautions. Basically, like it's projected on in your spit, your droplets in your spit, and everybody probably can attest to the fact that as soon as they put their mask on, they probably can feel little droplets, their own droplets coming, because that's what you project out of your mouth. You may not be aware of it, but that's what you do. And so the mask, it stops those droplets, which will spread the disease, in the air, because, we're talking, and then those spit droplets, even though you're not aware of it, we'll go, where it happens every day. Unfortunately, we're not in the middle of a pandemic, but those droplets go and they land on your whatever, and then you can catch the thing. So a mask is your best bet. And like I said, you don't have to go to these extra supercalifragilisticexpialidocious mask. Just I've worked. I've worked with this, for several months, and my mask has, kept me COVID free. And the same thing I was told by another nurse. She worked with it 8 months prior to me. She was like, hey, just to kind of ease you, you're going to do what you want to do, but just to kind of ease your nerves, I've worn a mask these 8 months. I didn't, I wasn't like, and I, spot checked here, and that's what I did. I spot checked. I got, COVID tests, during the, here and there, just to make sure I was COVID free. And so, yeah, just wear your mask. Basically, Dr. Fauci, he is a great resource. Where this, fortunately, COVID is not like what you call a super crazy infectious disease like Ebola. If you remember back Ebola, when President Obama was president, you dealt with the woman, the nurse, and Emory. She dealt with one patient, and due to some quirk in her, I believe, disrobe out of her protective gear, there was a cross contamination, and she got Ebola. So basically, I'm trying to get to you. The Ebola is quick to, it's very easy to infect. And once you get it, if you don't get it, fortunately, like this nurse did, if you remember back in that situation at Emory, she got immediate care and she was okay. COVID is not like that. So, if we would just follow these, simple things, wearing your mask, get the vaccine, simple thing. We've gotten vaccines for other things. And one thing that I used in the past, now, we had 9/11, and so, we went back to flying. We had this little thing with the beef. What was that with that one restaurant? It was what is that restaurant where the beef was contaminated? Well, you all probably, I can't think. Chipotle, yeah, the Chipotle beef. We went back to eating Chipotle. I ate Chipotle, and the lettuce was contaminated. Now, we still have our salads, but now, we can't, for the life of us, we won't, submit and say, well, maybe we can, do the vaccine. Maybe it's okay. And so I'm just saying, we can't let basically the fear, the mistrust, the craziness that has been pumped into the atmosphere by our former president, as Mr. Biden said last night, the other guy. You can't let stop us from moving on. There's a reference in the Bible that says, we've encompassed this mountain much too long. Now we've got to get over to the other side. And so, yeah, at this point, yeah, I would say take your vaccine, wear your mask, do your social distancing, listen to the CDC. The CDC has not, for all intents and purposes, has not steered us wrong all these years. Like you said, it's taken us through, again, when President Obama was president, taking us through MERS, taking us through SARS, taking us through Ebola, for goodness sakes. And now all of a sudden, this other guy gets up and, the CDC and all this other stuff is wrong. It's not working. It's ineffectual. Don't do those things. All of us have been taking medicines for this or that, and getting over our illnesses and moving on with our lives for all these years. And now this guy here comes, trying to basically get, set himself up as the authority, jack of all trade, master of nothing, type of situation. So, yeah, just, take this, like I said, take listen to Fauci, take your vaccine, wear your mask, do what we have to, submit to scientific principles as we have been doing for years. I was, as a child, I was, pretty sickly. I had a couple bouts of pneumonia. But again, my mom, she took me to the doctor, got treatment, and moved on. Much is the same for all of you. You all have had probably illnesses as a child, or your children have been illness, brother, sister. You took them to the It might have been sketchy for a while, but you know, they got over it. This is the same situation. This is not, you know, some kind of magic or new situation. We're going to handle this pandemic or handle this emergency, this public health crisis, just like we have in, you know, the past, you know, with medicine, with, you know, using common sense and getting past this. And so, you know, that's what we can do. And then, you know, another thing, you know, like when my wife is focusing too, the bad thing about it is, you know, blacks or, you know, minorities, people who don't have access to, uh, you know, the medical system as well. We are the ones that are really suffering the most for it. At least if, you know, things get out of hand, if you have insurance, then at least you can just run on to the, you know, hospital or whatever and get some good care. But if you're, you know, outside of the you know, medical system from jump, now you got more hurdles to deal with. And as she made reference to the Tuskegee, you know, Tuskegee's situation with, you know, with the syphilis, I understand that. I get that. And, you know, I would say we even dealt with a patient. He had that book talking about, I forget, it was the woman who actually, you all may know what I'm talking about. I can't think of her name because, yeah, I'm trying to think of it now. But it was the book about, you know, the whole, you know, Tuskegee situation. And he had that at his bedside. Consequently, as we were trying to treat him, he was refusing, you know, blood draws, refusing this, refusing that, you know, basically being non-compliant. And that totally increased his length of stay and, you know, length of treatment. And so I'm just saying, we don't want to, you know, go down that route where, you know, so
Thank you.
You get what I'm saying.
Thank you.
So again, I would appreciate Tiffany having me on. I hope hope I've said something that you've gotten out of. So I'm gonna let this back over to Tiffany and or Shalon, and they're gonna close us out. Or I guess, okay, we're gonna turn it back to Tiffany, and she's gonna close us out. So thanks.
Just exit, but